You should have run red.
Alright, 8th grade, we are doing lesson 4.4, graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So the cool part about this, since I've kind of cheated and already taught you slope-intercept form, this should make this lesson fairly easy, because you've seen it all. First of all, let's hit the warm-ups. These are comparing triangles. You should remember these from the previous chapter, whether these two triangles are proportional, telling whether they're similar or not. Yes and no answers. Okay, once you finish your warm-up, go to the key vocabulary. You do have 3 vocab words you need to write, and I do want you to sketch this picture. Okay, so you need to write everything you see on this page. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes. Should be plenty of time. Alright, so to find the slope and y-intercept, the first thing we do is check to see if this is in slope y-intercept form. This one is y equals mx plus b. It happens to be a minus b, but it still works. So, if it's in this form, then you just have to look in the locations where the slope is and the y-intercept is, and you'll know the answers. So, the slope for this one would be right here in front of x, and the y-intercept is at the end. So the slope is -4, where the y-intercept is -2. And you can, instead of writing this whole phrase out, you can just say m equals -4, y-int equals -2. That's the shorthand for that. Okay, then for b, you have to look at this one and say, is this in slope-intercept form? Is y already solved? No, it is not. We see that we have a -5 here. So we need to move this over to the other side. How would you move -5? You would add it. So add 5 over to the other side means you're left with y equals 3/2 x plus 5. Now it's in slope-intercept form. So you can just look at the positions right in front of x being your slope, at the end being your y-intercept. So slope is 3/2 and y-intercept is 5. Alright, so find the slope and y-intercept of the graph y equals 3x minus 7. So is this in slope-intercept form? That's your first question.
Yes.
Yes, so where is the slope in this equation?
3x.
Right, but it does not include the x. X is your coordinate. So it's just the 3. So slope is 3.
Okay.
So you're just going to put a 3 right there. Okay, and then which is your y-intercept?
-7.
Right, this one includes the sign, so you would put -7 here.
Oh, I overthought it.
It's okay. That happens. So looking at this equation, you can't easily figure out that x-intercept by looking at it. We have to solve some things. So first, what is the slope? Can anybody tell me?
-3x.
Very good.
Or 3.
Just -3. It does not include the x. The x is kind of a placeholder. Okay? So it's just -3. And then what would be the y-intercept?
3.
Good, the positive 3. Okay? So, when the y-intercept is 3, you can plot it at 0, 3. Because whenever the y-intercept is crossing that y-line, the x-line is 0. Does that make sense? Because it crosses here, so you can see that we don't go left or right at all. X equals 0. So you see that point? Somebody say yes. So I'm not talking to myself.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh no, don't make me laugh. Okay, so now that we have a point, we can plug in the slope and follow the line to the x-intercept. So my slope is -3 over 1, right? Over an imaginary 1. So
Yes.
I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1, and plot my second point. But they take a long time to say the things that I did. So, my second point just happened to fall on the x-axis. So all of a sudden, now I have my x-intercept. It is at what? What point is this?
1.
1.
1, 0. So the x-intercept would equal 1.
Up.
Excelente. Now, do you guys want me to show you how to find this without having to graph it?
Yes.
Because we like Mrs. Cease's shortcuts. Oh, I need to share my whiteboard. Hold on. Does everybody have this before I move the screen?
C.
Josh has it. Everybody else have it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Matilda. Huh? Sydney? Bananas? Alright, a window, whiteboard. Here we go. Okay, so when you have your y equals -3, that's a great 3, x plus 3. So, they want you to find the x-intercept. So, think about this with me. We just solved it, but when the x intercepts the x-axis, what value is my y? What would go in this coordinate range?
3.
Nope.
0.
0. When it crosses the x line, my y is a 0. So what we're looking for is this number. Okay, does that make sense? Can I make a dot? There we go.
Yes.
Yes.
So since I know the y is going to be a 0, I can plug in 0 right here. So I can say 0 equals -3x plus 3. Now I don't have to graph this at all. I can just mathematically solve it. Solve for x. So I'm going to say -3. So then I get my -3 equals -3. Wow, that's a crazy 3. X. And then to get x by itself, I just divide by -3. What is -3 divided by -3?
1.
1.
1.
So you can see I got the exact same answer without graphing. Okay, so when you're solving for intercepts, it works for the y as well. If you get some crazy funky equation and you don't want to put it in slope-intercept form like this, you can put a 0 where the x goes and solve for y. It would still work. So anytime you're looking for an intercept, plug in a 0 for the other coordinate. So since I'm looking for the x, I plug in 0 where the y goes. If I was looking for the y, I would plug in 0 where the x goes. Because it makes sense. If I plug in 0 here, you're left with just this number over here on the right, aren't you? Yes. I'll talk to myself. Good times.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, help for number 3. So we have y equals x minus 4. So is this in slope-intercept form? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So the first thing you look at to graph this is, what is my y-intercept? -4. So I go down here and put a point at -4. Okay. What is my slope? It's the number in front of x. What's in front of x?
1.
An imaginary 1. So I'm going to go up 1 over 1 and put a dot. Boom, graphed. Now, where does it cross the x-intercept? Where's the x-intercept?
4.
Yep, so over here, I'm going to say 4. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, so let's look at number 4. Again, is this in slope-intercept form?
Yes.
Yes, so what's my y-intercept? Where does it cross the y-line?
1.
Yep, so I'm going to put a dot at 1. And then what is my slope?
1/2.
-1/2.
Negative.
Yep, don't forget the negative. So we're going to go down 1 over 2. Okay, there's your second dot, and fortunately it crosses the x line. So what is the x-intercept? Where does it cross the x line?
Can you repeat that?
Where does it cross the X line? The X line is the horizontal line. So our drawn line, where does it meet the X line?
1/2.
What?
What?
Where does it hit the X line? See my blue line?
Yeah.
Where does it hit this horizontal line? At what point? Right here.
1/2.
What number is this?
I can't see. 2.
2. So it crosses at 2. So you would put X-intercept equals 2. Does that make sense? How
Yeah.
is my screen too small? I don't know how to make it bigger.
I'm on my phone because my other devices don't work.
Oh, that would make it. Did you not take your Chromebook home?
No, because,
Alright, so assistance for number 9. We're graphing this first. So what's my y-intercept?
8.
Yes, so I'm going to put a dot at 8. And then what's my slope?
2.
So I'm going to go up 2 and over 1. Right there. So then I follow this line backwards and see where does it cross the X line?
-4.
Yes, so my X-intercept is at -4.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, example 3. Make sure you're putting this in your journal. The cost Y in dollars of taking a taxi X miles is represented by the equation Y equals 2.5x plus 2. Graph the equation. Interpret the y-intercept and the slope. And this is real life math, guys. You could do this if you ever took a taxi. If you knew how much it costs to take the taxi. Alright. So, first thing we're going to do is graph the equation. Is this in slope-intercept form?
Yes.
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 Excellent. So now it's easy to graph. Okay. What is my y-intercept?
2.
2. And my slope?
2.5.
Very good. So on the y line,
2.5.
very good. On the y line, I'm putting my slope, my y-intercept at 2. 2.5, it's easier to graph it if you can change it to a fraction. 2.5 turns into 5 halves. Does anybody need me to show you how to do that? You can also do it on your calculator. Yes, no? Do you want me to show you how to make that a fraction by hand, or?
Yes.
Okay. I'd rather you all know how to do it than you get stressed about it. So, let me switch to my whiteboard. Okay, so it was 2.5. Now you can't, come on, decimal. It's hard to make a decimal on here because it erases it. 2.5. You can use your calculator. You would type 2.5 and then you would hit second and then that fraction to decimal button. But to do it by hand, okay, this is a whole number. So I just write that as the whole number, 2. This is, you look at what place value this is. What place value is this 5 in the decimals?
10.
Yes, so I'd say 5 over 10. Okay, then I just reduce this fraction. So it'd be 2, and 5 divided by 5 is 1, 10 divided by 5 is 2, so 2.5. Okay, so far so good?
Yes, ma'am.
Then the last thing to do is make this improper, and you do that by multiplying this times this and add the 1. 2 times 2 plus 1 is?
5.
5 over 2. This is highly important you understand how to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Okay, so now that we have the slope as 5 halves, let me switch my camera. We can graph it. So from this point, this y-intercept, we're going to go up 5, over 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, right there. It always does it backwards. I hate that. Go up first, over second. And then draw your line through it. Okay, so the last thing it wants you to do is interpret the y-intercept and the slope. Okay, the y-intercept is where your point began, right? Where your line begins. So what that's telling you is in the equation, the y equals mx plus b, this plus 2 at the end means no matter what happens, as soon as you get in the taxi, it costs you $2. It's just a flat fee. So it tells you the initial fee is $2 to take the taxi. So as soon as you sit down, $2. Okay? As you go, the further away you go, 1 mile, 2 miles, the increase, the amount of money increases. So it's going to cost you $2.50, because that's your slope, $2.50 for every 2 miles. Or for every mile, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's how you interpret that. Once you know the slope, you can say that's the slope is 2.5 over 1. So for every mile I go, it's going to cost me $2.50. See how this line is kind of right here in this middle between the 5 and the...
Yes.
So that's up 2.5, and then up another 2.5. Does that help?
Wow. Yes.
And if you had a graphing calculator, you could graph it, but you don't have graphing calculators. You will have them in high school, just so you know. Then you get to plug in this y equals 2x plus 2, and it will draw a graph for you.
Wow.
Fancy. Here's number 10. The height, y in feet, so that's the y line, of a movable bridge after rising for x seconds is represented by this equation. Y equals 3x plus 16. Graph it. So what is my y-intercept?
16.
16.
16. So on this graph, this is 10. Let's see how many lines are between here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then these are in 2s, because to get from 10 to 20, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, right? So then
Yes.
this would be 10, 12, 14. So my y-intercept is 16, so it'd go right there.
Yes.
Okay, and then what's my slope?
3.
3 over what?
1.
3 over 1.
No.
So 1, 2, 3 over 1. Hello. My big ideas is being weird. There. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay? So, interpret the y-intercept and the slope. So, the y-intercept is where? Where did it cross the y-line?
16.
So I'm going to put a 16 in there. So the initial height of the bridge is how many feet?
16.
Very good. The slope is...
3.
Very good. 3. So the bridge rises how many feet per second?
3.
3.
Okay. So the last question is, how many seconds does it take the bridge to reach a height of 76 feet? So we could go in here and try and find 76. It's not even available. So the rising to the height of 76 feet means that can be substituted for the y value. So we need to plug that in. Let me get my whiteboard. To the equation. Okay, what was my equation for this bridge? Y equals...
Y equals 3x plus 16.
Very good. 3x plus 16. And the question they have is, how do we get to where the bridge equals 76 feet? So you're going to plug that in where the y goes, because that's the height. If they said, tell me how tall it is after 36 seconds, you'd plug in that where the seconds is, which is the x, but they gave you the height. So we're going to put 76 equals 3x plus 16. And solve for x. So how do I get rid of stuff to solve for x here?
You subtract 16 from both sides.
Very good. So what's 76 minus 16?
60.
Yep. Equals 3x. So what is, how do I get the x by itself?
Divide 3.
Division.
Yes, division, divide by 3. What is 60 divided by 3?
20.
So then it takes 20 seconds for the bridge to rise to 76 feet.
I put the graph thingy in.
Yeah, the graph thing says it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not.
I don't know.
Okay, hold on. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 16. Oh, because, okay. So if I go 3 over 1, which is what our slope is, because these are by 2's, remember?
Yes.
So this would be halfway between this would be 1, so it would go here. So let's find an easier way to do that. Oh, I need to show my other. Thank you. Sydney's helping me out here. You guys are all like, what is she doing? Yep, my tech support. I like it. Alright, so reset this. The 16 is definitely right. So then, since 3 over 1 gives me halfway between this, 3 over 1 would give me there. So if I did, instead of 3 over 1, double it, 6 over 2, to get to this 2, and that gets me to this one. So, because each of these squares are worth 2, not 1, remember? 2, 4, 6, so this would be 2, 4, 6 over 2. That should give you the right answer. Check it.
Okay, thank
Boom.
you.
Yep, sorry.
Why did they have to leave it?
Because,
Make it unnecessary?
because math. Alright, let's do it together. So what is my y-intercept?
460.
460. So we have 440 here and 480. 460 be right between it, right?
Yes.
And then what's my slope?
Negative 20.
20.
So I'm going to go down 20 over 1. So these are in what? In 10, 20, 30, 40? What are they in?
20.
They're in 20. So I just go down to the 440 and over 1. Right?
Yes.
Alright. So now that we have that, the y-intercept is... What's the y-intercept?
460.
Okay, so we're putting 460 here. So the initial amount of perfume bottles in storage is how many?
460.
Very good.
460.
Excellent. The slope is what?
Negative 20.
20.
So the bottles decrease by how many every month?
20.
20.
20. So how many months will there be no perfume bottles left? So that this... Go ahead.
Wouldn't you divide 460 by 20?
Yep. So she just did it in her head instead of solving, because what they're asking is, how do I make this so that y is 0? So you plug in a 0 here. So I would move the 460 and then divide by 20. She recognized that right away. So you just do 460 divided by 20.
23.
So in 23 months, I'll have no more perfume bottles. So to justify, here's your equation. Y equals negative 20x plus 460, right? Solve for x would equal 23 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Make sure you guys hit save.